Hello. Today's live is all about unlocking your power, becoming magnetic, and attracting the life that you deeply desire. I am so excited for today's live. Again, all about unlocking your power, becoming magnetic, and attracting the life that you deeply desire. If this resonates with you, I will be offering a little promotion for the expansion process, which is my one-on-one coaching container at the end. So stay tuned for that. And today I really want to offer some action items and some tools. I really hope that you leave and you walk away with maybe some new beliefs, some new ways of thinking. I really hope that you also have like this new energy to create and really have a different understanding of energy and being at a certain frequency, how we become magnetic, and how we truly manifest the life that we deeply desire. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, let's get started. One thing, I'm also recording just below this on my computer because I've had lives before that I went to save it at the very end and all of a sudden it just vanished. It wasn't there any longer. So if you see me looking from one screen to another, it's just because I have two screens in front of me. And also, if you're on my mailing list, if you receive my newsletters, you're going to receive the recording of this as well via a newsletter tomorrow or over the weekend. So if you're going to miss out on any of this, or if you need to hop off and it's easier for you to view on a computer, on a device where you can pause easily, I'm going to send this out. If you don't subscribe to my newsletter, go to iamkategriffith.com. Go ahead, scroll to the bottom where you can just enter your email address and subscribe to all of the notifications, okay? So again, I'm going to be sending this out. You'll have video and audio to use. I also realized that as I am also recording on Zoom, I basically look naked because I'm only from like here up on the Zoom. So if you guys receive the recording, I promise I'm dressed. However, okay, let's get started. So you've maybe heard this before, possibly from me, possibly from other coaches, possibly just memes and things out there, like I don't know. But our thoughts create feelings, our feelings create action, and our actions create results. Sometimes people will even say our actions create our reality. So our thoughts create our feelings create action creates results or reality. Now, if you think about this for a minute, if you zoom out on your life is basically a compilation of all the actions that you've taken, all the results, how you see your life, what your reality is. So all of your actions and all of your results zoom out, that's what makes up your life. Now, if your actions and results stem from your feelings and stem from your thoughts, then wouldn't that mean that your thoughts and your feelings are what are actually dictating your life? Actions and results, compile those, that's your life. If those stem from our feelings, stem from our thoughts, then that just goes to show how uberly important it is for us to have control over the things that we're thinking, the things that we are believing, and the feelings and emotions that we are allowing into the body, okay? So basically our thoughts are stemming from all of our beliefs. From, again, beliefs, from our programming, from the narratives, from the things that we have learned, from trial and error. I know it's backwards for you guys, but I'm pretty sure that you guys can read backwards. It's only a few words, but thank you for pointing that out. It's also backwards on Zoom. But you guys saw it here. Thoughts create feelings, feeling create actions, action creates results, and that is also your reality. Cool. So I only have a few things to show you, so it's totally fine. So now this goes to show how important our beliefs are and the things that we believe, because that controls and dictates the things that we are thinking, okay? So this is, again, what I was mentioning, our programming, the narratives that we hold, trial and error, the things that have happened into our life, those become really ingrained in our personality, right? And so it's really up to us. I'm going to give you your first action item here, is to take a look, zoom out on your life and create the different buckets of life. Okay, the different buckets, the different categories, right? Different areas of life that are really important to you. And everyone's buckets are going to look a little different, and how much like weight they carry in their own life. It's going to be a little bit different. But some of the buckets might be your relationships, your friendships, your community, your career, success, wealth, finance, maybe investments, spirituality, health and wellness, vitality. So when you have all these buckets, right, and you look at the buckets that are really important to you, and then you look at the beliefs that you hold towards these areas, these buckets of life, okay, and get really comfortable with a couple of things. Get really comfortable, one, bragging about yourself in certain areas and really knowing that you are super empowered in that area of life, and maybe even going as far as asking yourself, why do you feel so empowered in that area of life? The very first thing that any individual does when working with me one-on-one is they fill out an intake form. And in that intake form, we go over the different areas of life and how they're feeling in each one. And I always say that this is your opportunity for you to brag about yourself in a specific area of life. The reason being is because if you are just thriving in your relationship, then we want to look at that. What are you doing? Is it all about trust and honesty? Is it all about having fun? And how do we replicate that? How do we mirror that in the areas of life, in the buckets where your beliefs aren't so strong, okay? But what I want you to do is look at the beliefs, and are the beliefs that you hold in each of those areas of life, each of those buckets that are important to you, and are those beliefs serving you, or are they no longer serving you? Is it an old narrative that you're replaying that really serves no purpose any longer? And when we get really comfortable and really get like accustomed to challenging our beliefs, I believe that any person who is very deep in their growth, very deep in their self-development journey, is questioning their narratives, maybe even on the daily, but questioning them often, because some of our narratives in each of these buckets of life change and different things will change. And so I think it's really important for us to oftentimes challenge the beliefs that we hold so that we are continuously empowering ourselves in each of the areas of life. As life is always changing and evolving, so are we. So we should constantly be questioning the narratives, questioning the thoughts, questioning the things that we believe about ourselves in each of those areas, okay? So a few examples that I have here. And one example is about relationship. And this individual, obviously won't share any names here, but this individual was really experiencing and was in a very toxic relationship. And when we got down to it, we realized that the relationships prior were very similar. They were basically just being replicated. And so this toxic relationship, which kept continuously showing up, and she was choosing individuals where she and the partner were both toxic for each other. It was on both sides, really. And what we came down to is that this individual was constantly looking for struggle. They were looking for struggle in the relationship to validate the love that existed. So there was this huge pendulum effect within the relationship of arguing, things getting physical, things getting really abusive verbally, and then back to, okay, but we made it through that, but that means that he loves me. This means that there's love here because we made it over that huge hump. But this individual is no longer feeling safe in their relationship any longer. They didn't have a calm nervous system because things were always so up and down, such a roller coaster. So you can see where her belief in this struggle means love was not serving in any way, shape, or form. But we got to the bottom of that by really, really challenging the beliefs and challenging the way that she was showing up in relationships and what was continuously, the patterns that were continuously showing up. Obviously, we worked through this and we got to the bottom of where this stemmed from. which is where a coach, a healer, working with someone, breath work, TFT, EFT tapping, these things come into play where we can rewire different neural pathways and change the beliefs. This belief is no longer serving for this individual, right? For me, in career, I saw my parents hold jobs and positions for really long periods of time. So my belief of career was that you stay in a career for really long periods of time, you continuously work your way up. But that belief didn't serve me any longer. And I know many people in our generation that saw their parents do that, right? So we just saw that was programmed into us. And that doesn't serve us any longer to continuously keep growing, serve our purpose, and follow our highest good, right? So these are things you have to work through, are these beliefs, right? And one of the things I absolutely love is Byron Katie. She has 4 questions. I won't go over it now. You can look it up on your own. You can just Google it. But Byron Katie has 4 questions you can ask yourself with a belief or when a thought comes through that you are ready to challenge, okay? And something I also absolutely love that I heard on a podcast from Haley Hoffman Smith the other day, I forget her podcast name. I think it's called Big Conversations or The Big Conversation, something along those lines, but she's great. I absolutely love her. But she said, concept of self is quite literally your experience. And I love this because that's so true. So the concept, the things that we believe are really what create our experience. So how we shape ourselves is the experience that we have. 2 individuals could be living the exact same experience, but the way that they see it is going to be absolutely different based off their concept of self. And this is where visualization, shifts in frequency, mindset work, imagination, meditation, all come into play, and affirmation work as well. And these are really powerful tools for us to rewire these neural pathways in our brain, because the neural pathways of these old unserving beliefs have been there for a really long time. They've been harnessed in, they've been anchored into our subconscious, into our body even. And so it's up to us to create new neural pathways, to fire those neural pathways, and for those to be the ones that we are living our life by, okay? So again, this is where visualization, shifts in frequency, mindset work, meditation, and using our imagination comes into play. I posted about this morning, and this is a really powerful practice to get into the habit of. And I really want to challenge you, if you're up for it, to maybe give yourself a time frame. Like you want to do this for 1 month, you want to do this for 1 week, like you set the time frame for this. And again, this is what you might have seen on Instagram this morning, but is to sit down each morning, each evening, like you decide, right? Totally up to you. Everything's a choice. You decide when and how often you're going to do this. And you create 2 columns. And your 2 columns, yes, I know this is going to be backwards, but your 2 columns, one is your self-identity, and then one is your worldly identity, okay? And start creating and get in the habit of sitting and creating as if you are the director of your own movie. You are the main character, and you are creating the most empowered, most confident, fulfilled version of self, you the main character. Because oftentimes we are living as if we are the supporting actor, the supporting actress in our own life, and we are not fully taking charge of the way that we want to feel. So this is a really good practice to look at your self-identity. Create your self-identity. We're not looking at our self-identity, we're creating our self-identity. We're using our imagination to create our self-identity. Those are those I am statements. So I am powerful, like I am magnetic, I am a multiple 6-figure coach, I am pure love, and I am attracting divine partnership. I am worthy of, like whatever it is for you. Sit down and write your I am statements, who you are in this life, who you want to be, who and how you want to show up, okay? And now we also want to look at our worldly identification. And these are the statements about the world and the universe around us, okay? We want to make sure that we're not putting blinders on and we're only focused about ourselves. We also want to broaden that focus and look at the world around us and set the stage. Again, you're the director of this movie, so now you're setting your location, how it's going to look, how are the people in this movie with its main character, how are they showing up, and what is this individual receiving, okay? And so The worldly identifications would be things such as the universe always has my back. What's meant for me will never pass me by. The world around me is my deepest teacher and deepest blessing. Floodgates of abundance are open to me. The universe conspires to make all of my dreams come true, right? So get creative, have fun with this, right? Have fun with creating this. Now, a few things here is, I like to do this every morning when I have time and create new ones. They're obviously very similar to the day before, but I want to get my brain working. I want to get the director in me to work a little bit here, right? I don't want to become on autopilot, because basically these statements are affirmations, and we want to work these affirmations very actively versus very passively. So when I'm active with this, I can continuously create new ones and use my imagination, use this to really shift my frequency when I'm creating them. And then the other part of it is also not feeling stale with them, right? It's because I don't want to get too passive with it. I want to make sure I'm super active in feeling into the emotions of your self-identification and your worldly identification. So you don't want to get on autopilot with this. You want to continuously be creating, continuously being feeling into, so that you can continuously show up as that individual and look for those things to show up in your life, okay? So this is you, the director, creating your most empowered, confident, fulfilled version, creating your I am statements, creating your worldly views as well. This is Law of Attraction 101. But this is also a law of assumption. I also heard on that podcast that I was mentioning before is Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard created the law of assumption. The law of assumption is basically positive thinking tactics to reframe one's outlook to attract good and attract success. Okay, so law of assumption. If you guys are in sales, if you've ever been in sales, you'll know that there's the assumptive close. The assumptive close means you just assume the business is yours. You say something such as, okay, when do we get started? Okay, I've got my documents prepped here. Are you ready to sign? That's the assumptive close. We can use that same assumptive close in our own life when we begin to create these statements, when we feel really deeply into them, which is a huge part of using an active affirmation over a passive affirmation. It's really feeling the emotions behind it, feeling it, seeing it, visualizing it, holding it in the heart. How does it feel in the body? Getting really, really accustomed to getting to know the emotions behind the affirmation. Okay? If you've seen, or I don't know, if you guys use affirmations, like, do you guys use them? I would just ask you and invite you to think of, are you using it actively or are you using it passively, right? Sometimes it's really easy to have affirmations in front of us and just read it. I am great, I am good, all is well, I'm at peace. But when we use them actively and we sit with each word, like literally each word, and feel what that feels like, to feel I am. What does I am even feel like in the body? And then I am worthy, I am at peace, I am, and then, keep using your imagination to create your self-identity and your worldly identity. And yeah, that's all on that. So we don't want to go on autopilot with any of our affirmation work. We don't want to go on autopilot with any of our self-identity or our worldly identity. We always really want to be in the emotions of, we want to use that as our assumptive close, the law of assumption. And I want to go over something really quickly because I think it's important. And if I didn't mention this before, I can't remember. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But being in the energy of assuming that it's yours, assuming that this can happen, is very different than longing or wanting something. So making a statement that I want something, oftentimes tells the mind that you want something. And when this happens, you'll feel happy. When love finds me, I'll feel fulfilled. When I receive that dream job, I will be successful, right? So wanting sometimes puts us in that when category of when something happens, this is how I'll feel. Okay, longing for something. Although the word longing feels sort of like sexy and longing for it, I don't know. It creates separation. So here's where we are, and here's where that manifestation is, that thing that we want to bring to fruition in our life, and we have separation between. We are separate from. The law of assumption, being in the frequency of using affirmations and feeling into, means that you are feeling as if it already happened. And it is becoming closer and closer to being yours, becoming your reality, until you are so close, you are absolutely magnetic that you can feel it. And then that's when it happens. That's when it attracts. So we don't want to create separation from. We really want to use statements, really want to use the power of frequency, the power of our mind, the power of affirmations, the power of manifestation to bring closer together, right? And we talked at the beginning a little bit about how our beliefs become who we are. Our beliefs become part of our identity, part of our personality. It's really what our database, right? It's our database of the things that we are cycling through in our mind. When something happens, we cycle really quickly through past events to come up with a solution for the future. So what is actually happening is we have something in our brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system actually works for us. So can work for us. Let's say it like that. It can work for us. So have you ever, my best friend has a very specific car, and I see this car no matter where I am in Jersey City. She lives in South Florida, and I see her car no matter where I am, always walking. It's the only car I've ever seen in town exactly like hers. But her car is, and the awareness of that vehicle have been created in my mind. I don't know what other cars I see. I could really care less. I don't drive. I'm not in parking lots ever. Like, I don't really have a need. I'm not in the market for a car right now, so I don't really pay attention to those things. But the reticular activating system is very aware that that's my best friend's vehicle. And oddly enough, this car also has a Florida license plate. So whenever I see it, I always hope that it's her. Obviously, I know it's not. But my reticular activating system has created this awareness in my mind to see that vehicle. I could tell you 0 other cars I've ever seen in my entire life in Jersey City. Like, the reticular activating system shows you what is top of mind. The reticular activating system shows you and brings proof to you of your beliefs. The things that you believe are brought to your attention because of the reticular activating system. So you can see how when our beliefs are unserving, our beliefs are full of limitations, then our reticular activating system is doing its job, and it's bringing you proof nonstop of the limitations that you've placed upon yourself and the beliefs that are no longer serving you. It's constantly bringing you proof of that because that's what its job is to do. So when we can we can manipulate the reticular activating system. I don't really like the word manipulate or hack into, but for lack of better words, maybe someone can give me a synonym for manipulate or hack into. But we can hack into the reticular activating system by these affirmations, by feeling into these emotions, by these visualizations. So the more that we are creating these neural pathways, the reticular activating system is saying, oh wow, I'm going to look for ways that she is worthy. I'm going to look for ways that her dream clients are coming closer to her. I'm going to look for ways in which the world is there to support her highest good. Like, whatever it is that we are constantly saying, whatever it is in the neural pathways that we are creating continuously, is where our reticular activating system is constantly serving us proof. It's constantly saying, here you go, here's your platter of proof that X, Y, and Z is true for you. So you can see when we are constantly in a state, the high frequencies, when we're constantly feeling into these I am statements that are full of abundance, full of worth, or full of absolute abundance and fulfilling. And when the worldly identification is also full of all of this juicy goodness, that the more that we're thinking about that, the more that we are spending time to do that, the reticular activating system is going to constantly keep bringing you proof that those things are true for you. And I'm sure you guys can absolutely think of a time where someone said to you, like, yellow truck in the backyard with, I don't know, flowers. And then all of a sudden you see randomly down the street, like a yellow truck has flowers on the side or in the back, or the person driving. Like, these things only happen when our awareness is being used. And it's being used. And this is so freaking helpful in showing us and bringing us proof of how amazing and how beautiful our lives can be. And then the other part of this is taking inspired action. So it's beautiful to do the affirmations. It's beautiful to sit and do and look at the worldly identification and create that for you, creating what your main character vibes are. And then if we take it a step further of really getting in the energy by like taking actual action towards whatever it is, even in the smallest of senses. It doesn't have to be this big, huge gesture. It can be absolutely just a really small thing to do, but it puts wheels in motion, right? A body in motion, our body at rest stays at rest. A body in motion stays in motion. It's the same thing when we are manifesting, when we are moving, when we are taking action. A body in action stays in action. So when we're taking this inspired action, you guys know I was talking about this nonstop on my Instagram posts, Instagram stories for a really long time until it's absolutely blue in the face. And if you are someone who took some inspired action, please DM me, let me know. I loved receiving the DMs that were coming in telling me about the inspired action I was taking and the things that were showing up in your lives. So please always let me know when something resonates and when something is put to test, okay? But in taking this inspired action, an individual in one of my sound baths, we were talking about inspired action and the things that we can do to create that momentum in our lives. And she was telling the group that she was really proud of herself because she was leaving an esthetician practice and starting her own. And she just signed the lease or was just getting ready to sign the lease. I can't quite remember. But I asked her, so what's some inspired action that you're going to take? And she gave her the idea to maybe just think of a few things that you want to place in your new office, your new space, right? And so I was saying you could buy a piece of artwork, you could buy maybe some sage from Palo Santo, you could find the scent, the things you want people to come into. Maybe you can find some graphics that really fit your flow, the colors that you want to use for your marketing, your advertising, like really put wheels in motion. It doesn't always have to be like buying something or spending money on something, but those obviously examples sort of were financially or tied to some type of finance and some type of purchase. But what she actually ended up doing is coming out of the meditation after we had talked about inspired action, and there was a painting on the wall, and she said since the moment that she came into the facility, All Life Wellness here in Jersey City, my boyfriend's wellness center where I facilitate my sessions from, and there are some paintings from a local artist there for sale. And she said, this is what I want. I want that painting. This is what I want my space to be centered around, is this painting. She saw when she came in, it really caught her eye. She came out of the meditation. She was the first thing that she saw, and she felt really empowered to buy this piece of artwork for her new location. So that's a beautiful, beautiful example of taking inspired action towards the feelings, towards the things that you want to create and where it is that you want to go, right? So two things that I want to just mention really, really briefly are some things that I see oftentimes in some of the circles that I facilitate. When we're talking about things that we want to declare, things and ways that we want to set and the intentions we want to set in our life, I'll oftentimes hear, I want this to happen in my life. And then all of a sudden they'll use the word but. They'll use the word but. I'm not sure if I'm ready, but I'm not sure if I'm qualified, but I'm not sure if I'm worthy. Like, that's what it stems from. So all of a sudden, they're creating this beautiful high vibe intention. It's so beautiful, this declaration of what they want to call in. And then they use that word but, right? They use the word but. Has anyone ever said to you, like, I'm sorry that happened, but you did this, you did that, I can't believe. So literally that word but cancels out the things that are said before in my eyes. And I know I've done this with my partner, so I'm sorry, Anand. I am totally guilty of saying I'm sorry, but however, when we're stating an intention, when we're stating something that we want to call into our life, we cannot be using the word but, and for a very, very specific reason, because our body, our mind, our reticular activating system, they don't know the word but. The word but has very little meaning. So now you're stating what it is that you want, and you're stating the reasons why you don't think it can happen. An example of this is someone had told me recently that they want to start looking for a new job, high vibe, they're so ready for this new position to come in, they're ready. And then they said, but I'm not sure if I'm qualified, but it's a really competitive market, but there's really talented individuals out there. So they stated the intention, they stated the declaration, they used the word but, and they said all the reasons why it can't happen. So all the reasons why it can't happen are now what the reticular activating system, now what the mind, what the body are looking for. They're looking for competition. They're looking for this competitive market, right? And it's also telling the body, telling the mind that this individual isn't worthy of, where I know perfectly well this person is absolutely worthy and deserving of any new position. They'll do an absolutely amazing job. But that word but, when stating that declaration, stating that intention, cancel it out, and because the body can't tell the difference. Can't tell the difference in the intention and what came after the word but. So that's one thing I want you to be super conscious of when using this or speaking to others, is not to cancel out and to say things and stay in that high vibe state, okay? The other part is, and something I oftentimes see in circles, and this is, please know, this is absolutely not to knock anyone. This is really just awareness to keep in mind. And also this is something for myself that I have to keep in mind too in the way that I speak. Everything that we speak, everything that we say is a frequency, right? So when we voice anything, we should be super careful in the way that things are worded, the things that are said. And this one is stating what someone wants to call into their life, but also stating the less than desirable situation that created that want. So basically stating what was less than desirable that happened in their life, that happened in the past, and then also stating how that's created the new want, the desire that's in their life. Now, I understand that the situation might have needed to happen in order for that want, that deep desire to come in. But again, our body doesn't know the difference between what it is that we're stating that happened in the past and what it is that we're stating that we really want for our future. An example is if someone maybe grew up without money, they grew up very poor, without clothes, they felt embarrassed, and they bring up all of those emotions just to say what it is I really want to create is financial wealth. What I really want to create is I want investments. What I really want in my life is financial freedom and stability to do and be whatever it is that I want and go wherever it is. Okay, so that's the affirmation, that's the statement. But what happens is we oftentimes recycle the situation that happens, and we're recycling the trauma, we're recycling the emotions when we're constantly making the statements of what has happened that's been less than desirable, that's now created this desire in our life, this new desire. So we have to be really careful. Again, it's beautiful to reflect on your why you want something and use that as your driving force. But when we are in a state of manifestation, when we are creating our self-identity and our worldly identity, it's really in our best interest to create from a space of just positivity versus rehashing and almost sitting in the victimhood. And staying in the victimhood, which is creating the compelling desire, right? So being in victimhood is a very low vibe. And I understand it might be someone's why, but it's a very low frequency to be in, and it's not exactly the state where we can create. Our nervous system can get really dysregulated when we are constantly rehashing the past and the things that have happened to us that are creating these desires in our now future. Okay, so we just want to be super conscious of this when we are describing the things that we want to call into our life, because the more that we rehash the past, the more it's anchored into our beliefs and into our personality and how it is that we are showing up. Now, you're almost there, guys. Very lastly, and this part will be super, super quick, is with all of this, with all the affirmation work, with all of the self-identification, with all the worldly identification, with all the visualization, all the meditation, feeling into all of these emotions that we want to call into our life, we also have to use an element of trust. There has to be an element of trusting the process, trusting and surrendering to what is to happen, and doing so without blinders. We also can't expect miracles to happen in one day. So we can't say, I'm going to visualize today, I'm going to go through my affirmations, I'm going to do my self-identity, I'm going to do my worldly identity, and expect tomorrow for us to manifest everything that we want in life. There is something that I've manifested in my life as of recently, and it took patience and hard fucking work and trust to really allow that to come into my life in the way that it did. Right? It took a lot of trust. But we can't have these blinders on, because our blinders are saying it needs to happen in this time, in this way, needs to look exactly as so, and it doesn't allow for the magic to happen. I also mentioned at the beginning, the reason we do the self-identity as well as the worldly identity is because we don't want to become so laser focused on ourselves that we forget to look at the world around us and the way that the world around us, the universe, is showing up for us. So it's having trust in the external, it's having trust in the world, having trust in the universe, and it is also having this trust in self, this deep inner knowing that what is meant for you will not pass you by. We don't want to create any limits with these blinders of when it has to happen and how it has to happen. Allow yourself to be fully surprised by the universe. Because our mind can actually limit us when we create something in a very particular way. And so if we are just open and trusting and in a deep inner knowing, then we allow magic to show up in a way that this mind of ours probably couldn't have even created. It will be much better than the expectation that we've created in our mind. I promise you. So with that, we have finished this little chat on unlocking your power, becoming magnetic, and creating a life that you deeply, deeply desire. If you're experiencing blocks, if you are doing any of the action items, the journaling, if you're doing any of that and you're experiencing some major blocks, please reach out to me. I'm happy to assist, okay? And very lastly, I have lots of events that are happening here in Jersey City for those that are local in the month of July and forward. I'll send all of those out, or you can catch them in my Instagram stories or my posts. And lastly, we have lots of tools that we can use for these barriers, these blocks, these limitations. Again, I mentioned before, breathwork, EFT tapping, TFT tapping, guides, coaches, events, retreats, and one-on-one coaching, okay? So the expansion process is open. It's my one-on-one container to help you move through limitations, to really step into your truest self, to feel deeply in your authenticity, deeply in your power, to really get to know yourself on a deeper level and really activate all that you are, okay? It's a really, really, really beautiful program that has been based off all of the work that I have done personally. And I'm so excited that I can offer you guys a discounted rate for the July to October container. It's 4 months. Rather than being $1,111, it's $999. So we're knocking it down to $999 for anyone who joins this, anyone who has been here, anyone who has sat through this. If this resonates with you, if you're really interested in taking your work to a deeper level, unleashing your power in an even deeper level, becoming super, super uberly magnetic, and really and truly creating that life that you deeply desire and you want help along the way, please DM me, please reach out. $999 for the expansion process per month for a 4-month container, July to October. I feel very, very salesy saying all of that. I literally feel like I am on a used car, like commercial, $999. Okay. So anyway, $999 for a 4-month period, each month, $999. DM me, reach out. And you guys, that is it. Please let me know how this lands. Please let me know if this resonates with you. Please, please, please keep me posted if you move through any of the self-identification or worldly identification. If you start to notice and you put those buckets out there for your own self and you understand where you are in each of those buckets, if that is resonating with you and you are really getting to know yourself on a deeper level, please send me feedback. I absolutely want to hear what's going on in all of your lives. That is the power and that is the beauty of these platforms. So please, please, please reach out, say hello, sending you a lot of love, lots of light. I love you all and we'll chat with you soon. Have a beautiful evening.